However, yesterday was the New York Democratic primary day, and there was some surprises across New York State. In New York City, in some ways, no surprise. I guess the biggest surprise in New York City was that the force that people referred to as Andrew Yang did not do so well. In fact, now understand, this is there is no winner yet. As of this morning, Eric Adams had about 32%. He is the Brooklyn borough president and former police officer. Maya Wiley, former member of Bill de Blasio's administration, former prosecutor and former MSNBC commentator, 23%. Catherine Garcia, 20%, and Andrew Yang, about 12%. You need to get over 50% to avoid sort of the kicking in of ranked choice voting. The difference between Adams and Wiley suggests that it would be very difficult for her to make up that distance in ranked choice. And it's also, I'm hearing like it could be possible that we're not going to hear anything on this race for 2 or 3 weeks.
But as you say, though, I mean, the results seem fairly clear. We don't know anything definitively, but Adams has what most experts believe is a fairly insurmountable lead at this point, which is bad news. I saw people comparing it to, the left in Bernie's campaign, where the left was so preoccupied with Pete Buttigieg or whoever the case may be, Kamala Harris, and then what do you know, it was Biden all along who had the stronghold, and that's kind of where Eric Adams is.
Yes, and to be clear, as I'm listing off those 4 names at the top, there's only one who has been a ongoing politician who has had 10, 20, 30 years to build an organization and to develop relationships. He was most recently the Brooklyn borough president. The point that I'm trying to make, though, is that there's going to be attempts to extrapolate from this outcome as to ideology. And the fact that Maya Wiley was not the first choice of progressives, there were multiple candidates, I think, that were ahead of her, but lost their mojo, as it were, because Scott Stringer had some accusations of potential sexual harassment 20 or 30 years ago, and his candidacy was largely abandoned. Morales had her own problems with campaign workers, essentially mutinying. And so Maya Wiley was a late settle for progressives. Your mileage may vary as to, her bona fides, but and for her to get 23% is a pretty strong showing relative to the 32% that a guy who has his own machine theoretically did. So to extrapolate, Eric Adams is tough on crime, Maya Wiley is not tough on crime, and to suggest that played a big issue in this election, I think, is silly. And we only need to look to Buffalo, New York, which has had a fairly significant rise in crime over the course of essentially the pandemic, and see that whatever lesson you supposedly could draw from the New York City mayoral race is not one that you can, and I am saying the Democratic primary, is not one that you can apply other places necessarily, or maybe that narrative is just not true. Here is the Socialist India Walton declaring victory up in Buffalo.
All that we are doing in this moment is claiming what is rightfully ours. We are workers. We are the workers. We do the work. And we deserve a government that works with and for us.
And we should say that she beat a 4-term incumbent mayor. Obviously, this is the Democratic primary, but
it all but secures her place as, most likely the mayor in the fall. I mean, some of the things that she promised, signing a tenants' bill of rights, rent control, removing police from mental health calls, all just, important policy changes that she could do fairly immediately. These are her first 100-day promises.
And here she is. If she considers herself a socialist, and so there's no backing away for India Walton.
Yourself a socialist?
Oh, absolutely. The entire intent of this campaign is to draw down power and resources to the ground level and to the hands of the people. And when we think about socialism, we're perfectly fine with socialism for the rich. We will bail out Wall Street and banks and give $1 billion in tax incentives to one of the richest people in the world to build an empty Tesla factory in South Buffalo. And when it comes to providing the resources that working families need to thrive, socialism becomes scary at that point. So I'm very proud to be a Democratic socialist. I am proud to have the support of Buffalo DSA and National DSA. I received a call from Congresswoman AOC this evening, and I'm just excited to be a part of this movement that is ushering progressive politics into Buffalo. Being the third poorest mid-sized city in this country, we should be considering how we begin to eradicate concentrated poverty and disadvantage, and Democratic socialist leanings are a big step in getting us there.
It's going to be fun to see those policies in action.
Yeah, and just her strength. And, I saw on Twitter, too, that Martin Gugino, the old man who was assaulted by Buffalo police, pushed down by them during, police accountability protests, he was at her victory party. So just kind of full circle in terms of the way Buffalo's been in the news recently and what grassroots campaigns can accomplish.